When you can find drive in your own doubt, fear, insecurities, you become unstoppable. How to develop Guts' drive. Now, in a previous video on the review of chapter 371, the concept of Guts giving up had a lot of viewers disappointed and felt betrayed by how Guts was seemingly characterized in a way that wasn't true to Miura's original vision. And of course this was due in part to the fact that Miura's good friend Koji Mori had openly taken on the responsibility to continue the manga. Now, many fans blamed Mori for failing to do the character justice, but I fully disagree. This is a perfect example of just how relatable and humanistic Mori's Guts is, and it is also a pinnacle example of just how driven Guts is towards his goals. In life, we generally experience pain and failures and deem these as externally painful and harmful artifacts. Yet, people fail to realize that failure and pain are merely essential ingredients towards a major goal, and I can give a personal example. As someone who has recently taken on running as a means to instill discipline, I realized something the other day on one of my runs, which is the concept of hills. Hills are inevitable on a natural running or walking track, as that is how nature is intended. And life itself is also a natural occurrence. When we are running down a hill, it is usually an experience that is a lot less physically demanding and allows us to take a break and give us an insight on how we are doing from a relatively comfortable perspective. Yet, with every downhill, there must be an uphill climb, and uphill climbs always fucking suck. And we will always feel the weight of the pain and discomfort upon running up a hill, and this is only due to the fact that we ran down a hill in the first place. In a similar sense, this occurs in life as it has also occurred to Guts in the latest arc of Elfheim. The moment Guts set foot into Elfheim, he became temporarily disconnected from the reality of his life. His life is one of constant struggle and violence, and for the first time ever, he was able to experience some semblance of true peace. Along with the revival of Casca and the healing of his wounds, this in itself can very well be visualized as running down that hill. Though it may not be absolute peace, it was relatively a peaceful break for our character Guts. And with every one downhill, there has to be an uphill struggle. The moment Griffith appeared to wreak havoc onto Elfheim, we see a Guts that we have never witnessed before. A Guts that is filled with despair, emotion, and lack of stoicism. We for the first time see Guts struggling to contain his hardened composure, and upon fully losing to Griffith, we see him plunge into a deep darkness on the boat, where he deems himself a failure and deems his sword a betrayal. So then the question is, how does this attribute to developing Guts' drive? How Guts has been represented from the beginning of the manga answers this exact question. From the moment he is conceived, he has been shrouded in darkness and struggle. His entire source of power and strength has been founded on trauma, death, and loneliness. It is his greatest enemy, yet also his greatest source of strength. As we have seen time and time again within the manga, Guts seems to always fight his absolute hardest when he feels the most defeated, the most lonely, and the most saddened. We see this in his fight with the Count, his fight during the eclipse, and his fight against the judge. And each time we witness him emerging more driven and more savage. And yet, when we witness Guts' suffering in this present arc, readers see it as Guts being represented poorly. I disagree. The current Guts we see is merely a Guts that is trying to consume himself within his failures, darkness, and feelings of despair. Not as a means of defeat or giving up, but as a means of emerging from it stronger than he has ever been. Because pain, darkness, and despair is raw power. It is the rawest form of power and drive that anyone can ever experience, yet it is also the biggest reason people give up and allow depression and weakness become their driving force instead. The current Guts merely reflects how human it is to react to something as grandly fucked up as life, when life throws you under a bus. Yet, this is merely an initial step to a 5-step program on how to harness unlimited drive, passion, and momentum into complete defeat of Griffith and reclaiming Casca again. And in our lives, we also experience this. We are 100% guaranteed to experience horrible instances and situations, may it be a death in the family or close friend, loss, or even mental illness struggles. Yet if we can change our mindset on how to address and view those things, we may tap into unlimited power and drive. To drive to be better, and the drive to emerge from the fucking mess into the blinding light. The person that is able to emerge from darkness a warrior is Guts. It always has been time and time again, and it will happen again in the next few chapters. And the same also applies to all of us. The moment we stop and let that dark matter consume us, we will lose that drive to live and fight on. Keep struggling, my friends.